Hello, I'm Elgato and welcome back to the video. So Fallout 76 came out earlier on in the week, and it's been one of the most poorly received major titles we've seen in quite some time. Most of the things that people don't like about the game have come from the fact that it is a multiplayer-only title. They've taken one of the most famous story-based franchises and turned it into a multiplayer game, and the end result is that there's no NPCs, which people don't like. There's lots of bugs, which is obviously a bad thing in any game. There's microtransactions. There's a whole host of issues that this game has. But one of the big redeeming features, one of the things that is meant to be a selling point of this game, is just how big the world is. You might hear that the world is massive in Fallout 76 because it's designed for so many more players, and you might even hear facts like, oh, it's so big, it's 4 times the size of Fallout 4, but what does that really mean? How big is the Fallout 76 world? Is it worth all of these other problems? Well, we'll be finding that out in today's video, at least in terms of how big the world is, because I wanted to walk all the way across the map, starting over here in the bottom left, as you can see. We've got, Nicholson's End just right here, and going all the way to the top right of the map, the furthest, northeast monument we can find. We're going to be walking all the way across the map to see how long it takes, probably quite some time, but just to really get a feel for the entire map and to show you what the whole thing looks like start to finish. So that's today's video. I'm aware that probably sounds a little bit crazy, but one of the things I love about previous Fallout games is the atmosphere you get from the game, just the amount you can see while just kind of walking vaguely across it, and that's something I'm hoping to replicate at least a little bit in today's video, to see just how much we can see by walking across the map. And admittedly, it's not a perfect northeast run. We're not going to be walking at the exact same speed the entire time, but it is going to be a feel for like, okay, if you're walking in a fairly normal way, trying to see the odd sight and also trying to actually navigate the map because there's big mountain ranges you can't pass, but if you're trying to play the game in a somewhat normal way, how long will it take to get across the map, and therefore how big is the map? Because again, looking at it, it seems kind of huge, and playing it does feel huge, but there's a lot of things like mountains across it that do interfere with that. So we're gonna just keep that in mind as we go across this, and then we're gonna see how long this truly does take. Now that's a creative name for an area right there. You know a level designer's enjoying what they're doing when they name something Abandoned Mineshaft 4. Which means that there must be a 3, 2, and a 1 there, right? Or maybe it's just a placeholder, who knows for sure. But yeah, I really want to make it clear that this isn't a perfectly scientific method, because I mean, I guess in any video game, you can measure it in, meters or miles or whatever, but the truth is that doesn't matter to players. What matters is how much content, what it feels like it is, and how long it takes you to go from one side to the other if you're actually experiencing it in play. Because, if the map is like, 5 kilometers, but you go at, 0.5 meters, but it feels fast, that's very different. Games can kind of define what a meter is, because, I mean, we don't have anything for scale, so that's the kind of key reason we're doing it in time. And also, the reason we're going to be walking for the most part is because of the fact that sprinting takes your AP in this game, your action points, which you also use for VATs, and most of the time you're going across the world, you're walking for the most part with an occasional sprint in there, which I figured would be the most accurate way to kind of do it in this video. So that's exactly what we're doing. Oh, we found an abandoned train. That's kind of cool. Don't think I've seen a train in the Fallout world. This one's got a tank on it, it seems too. I think. I'm not even sure sometimes, but it looks pretty great. Small things like this are the kind of atmosphere thing I'm talking about. It's not marked on the map, so not everyone's going to find it, but it makes the world feel more alive, and it's one of the things you get when you're just kind of walking across it. You see, what a world would look like if there was an apocalypse. Fascinatingly enough, I want to know what an apocalypse would look like, but we haven't had a nuclear apocalypse on Earth just yet, so I get those fantasies out by playing Fallout instead. I feel like it's a better system. Another fun example of just a random house that someone has with a random gnome in there. I know the gnomes are a big thing in this game, but it's kind of interesting, right? Like, yeah, there's just a random little shack right there, adds a little bit of flavor, and you see it when you're going for a nice walk. That's why I like walking in Fallout. That's why I'm making this video. I'm not just insane. I mean, you can make your own judgment, I guess. If you say you're not insane, that's one of the characteristics of being insane. But I really do like some of the more mundane seeming tasks in game, because they give you more atmosphere and of a taste of what's going down. Oh, game just stuttered pretty bad there. I thought I was trapped on something, but no, it's the game that's trapped. Again, the game has serious performance issues, and that's something that technically will affect the time. But I mean, technically speaking, if you play Fallout 76, you're going to have performance issues, so this is really a key part of the scientific method. Gotta recreate the lag. I think it'd be fun to walk past some feral ghouls on the way, but apparently fun is not the right word for seeing a little bit of atmosphere on the journey. One of my very small complaints about Fallout 76 compared to everything else you can say about this game is that it always seems to be a bit of a depressing mood. And I know, it's a nuclear apocalypse, not a happy time, there's no flowers singing and dancing, but like at the same time, it's always dark or raining, it feels like, or dark and raining, and it just means you can see a lot less. You can see what I mean when I say the game world is kind of split up by mountains. The game is kind of stopping me going in my right direction. with these mountains, which I have to go around or above it. It makes it kind of tricky and kind of makes the map feel more spacious by having more distinct areas be separated by kind of light mountains. I don't honestly know if we can even climb this. I'm just kind of assuming there's some way to, because I mean, like, you know, Bethesda, they know people like to Skyrim all over the world, so hopefully they've just provided a real world to do that. You'd hope so, or I'm gonna come in some serious issues. It's kind of funny that, like, you know, you can use Skyrim as a verb to describe trying to go up the side of a mountain instead of going around it, even though you probably should. And in this case, it seems like it's actually just about work. So you can Skyrim in Fallout 76, if you will, if you use it in verb tense. You get some pretty nice views from up here too. Seeing, I mean, actually not, nice views might be an exaggeration. You get a view, but I'm starting to think that these trains are no longer on the tracks that they were meant to be on. I mean, it's just seemed a little bit to me like maybe something's gone wrong here. Oh, and there's a there's a Mr. Gutsy that wants me dead as well. That's always a sign that you're having a fun time in Fallout, when a robot tries to kill you. Yeah, tries to kill me pretty bad too, it seems. Oh, it's just a submachine gun. It's horrific in literally every way. It holds 12 rounds at a time. Each of the 12 rounds does something terrible. It's awful. This gun is objectively horrific, and I don't know why it exists in the game, but it's a little bit fun, and I have a lot of ammo for it, so I just end up using it all the time anyway. Oh, we're going on the road now, so we're gonna end up at a ski resort soon. I do love a good bit of skiing. I'm gonna be honest, of all the chemistry stations I've seen in the world, this one makes the least sense. Oh, it's because it's another player's base, I think. Can I take that? I probably could if I wanted to. You know, if you wanted to make a base in Fallout and have it be, like, not obvious, I feel like the middle of a highway is just not a good place to do it. I guess they probably just don't care, though. Oh, send a nice message to anyone coming along to. Cutthroat Camp is not a very inviting name. So I'm pretty surprised, but we're about 18 minutes in, and I think we're significantly over halfway through the journey. I could be wrong, you know, we're going to check the map in a little bit, but I think as of right now, we're pretty close to done. And that's with the meandering and getting trapped on mountains and stuff. But as of Pleasant Valley Station, it seems... Oh, the game is frozen while I open the menu. Yeah, it seems as though we don't have too much further to go, which is surprising, given, again, it's 20 minutes. I thought this would be, like, multiple hours. I sat down for, like, a mega project, where I was going to be like, okay, we'll give it 2-3 hours, maybe. But no, okay, sure. If the game wants to do it in 40 minutes, I guess we can do it in 40 minutes. Somehow, for, like, most of this walk as well, I've just been coming across this same railroad track. Maybe the trains are following me. You know, I'm not sure I can survive this full down, but it is the way I need to go, so I guess we'll find out at the bottom. Okay, you can survive falls like that. How nice to find out. So I kind of wanted to sing Country Roads, Take Me Home, but I mean, we're kind of on like a not very country road. This is more of like a state highway or whatever you call it in America. So, state highway, take me home. And I'm not going home actually either. You know, country road, take me home might make sense on paper, but unless you have a home in West Virginia and you also like driving on the side streets, I'm just saying it might be a misleading song. Because every other song in the world is all about love, right? Like, every song starts to sing about how, oh yeah, you know, indirectly or directly, it's all about love, girls, all the basic things. So really, you know, singing about going to your home in West Virginia is a bit more niche, in my opinion, than love. Like, everyone's felt love at some point, but I have not felt what it's like to have a home in West Virginia that I drive to exclusively by the country roads. Maybe I should feel that feeling. Okay, I just have to hit this button on the way past. Don't even know what it does, but oh, okay, let's not maybe. Oh god, let's definitely not. Oh, it's just a rabbit. Oh, okay, that's one way to get away from a roll rat. Oh, yes. I am so glad that Fallout is lenient on the full damage, because otherwise we'd have a pretty big fallout on our hands, you could say. Man, the mole rat jumped down the hill as well, apparently. So the problem with being in the top right of the map is you tend to have a bit higher level enemies, such as this level 50 Scorch Beast, which is just a dragon, which is somehow, oh, it's a dragon glitched into the wall, something like that. I mentioned how, like, you know, there's a lot of criticism in this game. Maybe it's not also fair, but apparently any criticism revolving glitches, I mean, I can't help but feel like maybe it is. It is pretty interesting to see the terrain change, even though, you know, it's all, you know, irradiated West Virginia or whatever. the fact that there are pretty distinct terrains, even in this just under half an hour walk we've done so far, that is interesting, if nothing else. Like, there are distinct environments that do feel separate. You know, we're in the mire now, with different enemies, different feels, and apparently trees with cables on them. I think we're meant to climb it. It looks a lot like how the ropes are signaling in Far Cry if you go up a tower. I think it's something like that. So I really want to climb this thing, but I do have places to be. So that's a cool little find, but sadly not one I can take the game up on right now. Side note, but there has been a mole rat following me for way too long. Like, I figured I'd outrun it, but no, he's doing his thing still, it seems. Jumping out of the grass. Now that's another nice descriptive name tag right there. Abandoned bunker. You know, I'm just going to kill them all. I'm just going to shoot it while I go back. There we go. One less issue to deal with. One less source of radiation and disease. Should have done that a long time ago, really. Okay, so we're pretty darn close now. You can see we're, like, basically off the deep end. There's probably, like, a couple more things to find. Like, there's that. That might be the very last monument to the northeast. And we're less than half an hour into the journey so far. So it's not looking promising for the size of the map, really. Oh look, we've had another scenery change. I've always liked doing the semi-mundane things, because sometimes that's how you get to see the unique hidden experiences in a game. You know, I think in general, a lot of human experiences that are lesser had are some of the more interesting and perhaps better ones, you know? Because the things that are most oftenly done are the things that everyone does. And, you know, if you don't know anything about anything, it's often a good idea to just take the most already used example of something. But if you do know, sometimes it's fun to pick your own adventure. I'm dying right now. Sometimes it's fun to pick your own adventure. Side note, we have made it here. I'm not sure how much longer I will have made it here for, but I am in the very top corner of the world with a huge gang of followers on me. And it took us less than half an hour. The video is just over half an hour, that's including the intro. I have no idea exactly, you know, if I was wrong for guessing the map would be bigger, or if the map is just less big than it seems on paper. But I've made it as far northeast as there is anything that is anything. We can keep going, but it's literally just going into the mountains where there's nothing, you know, any real note. The last named location, the last thing that they put effort into was just behind this. Just behind, yeah, like just back there. And the first thing they put effort into was where I started. From corner to corner, from literally, I'm gonna make sure I'm safe there. From literally the corner of the world up here, all the way down into the corner of the world down there. You know, and by the way, the travel cost is 75 caps, which I guess we'll have to be doing right about now. So having made it all the way across the Fallout 76 world and having died a little bit afterwards to a giant dragon, what is the overall thought on like how long it took and everything? So first of all, it was way shorter than I figured. I mean, you know, the game feels big because it's sending you on missions where you walk for like 5-6 minutes at a time. You're like, wow, it's so big. I went so you know, very little distance. But the truth is even if you wanted to walk the furthest distances in the game, it doesn't take very long. The game isn't very huge in terms of your walking speed versus the game. In terms of how much is in the map, it's not necessarily huge. It's about the size of a regular sandbox game. Having the map be bigger than any Fallout game before it doesn't really mean anything in this case because it is entirely open world. It is all accessible. In previous games, there were kind of limitations on that, and the previous games were quite small in different ways, I'd argue. So I would say this game isn't huge. You might have heard that it's huge. You might have heard it's massive compared to previous Fallout games, and I would say it doesn't feel any bigger. It feels pretty much the same size. West Virginia, you know, to look at the map and to see all the things, looks pretty much the same size, you know, like in actual practice than any other Fallout game. You can't really notice the extra size. So if you want to think to yourself like, okay, well, I mean, the game is buggy and the game has multiplayer, which I don't want, and microtransactions, which I don't want, and you know, there's no NPCs, which I did want. Even though it has all those things, at least the world is big. I would say 30 minutes across the entire map can't be considered too big. Again, you could probably like speed run it across the entire thing in like 20, you know, something minutes, which is wild that a slow route across the map would take you know, such a reasonable amount of time, but that's what happened. That was the case, and I'm glad I did it because it was an interesting little journey. I'm a bit shocked that it took me so little time to do, honestly. But anyway, I'd love to hear what you thought about this video. I know I don't usually make running across the map Fallout style videos, but it's something I wanted to do because it's something I do in every Fallout game. It's an interesting way to see the world, and it's an interesting way to just have the game, like, kind of have stuff recommended to you. Like, I got 3 random quests during this. Oh wait, 2. Yeah, 3 random quests plus retrieve your drop loot. But you can see it's like, oh yeah, I found a radio signal, might be interesting. Investigate the shack. I've got to go somewhere and, you know, go wear a clown costume at the same time. It's pretty nuts that I got some quests which can lead into some of the interesting lore of the game. So I'd recommend doing something like this. It's just, you don't need to set very much time aside. You know, I figured it would take a couple hours or at least, and it took me half an hour. So thank you very much for watching this video. Hope you did all enjoy it. Like the video if you did like it. Share if you really liked it. Subscribe with notifications turned on if you want to see more videos. Probably not on Fallout 76, but I guess any other game with a huge world or any other Fallout game that is actually more worth your time, I'll be playing that on this channel as well. But thank you very much for watching, because I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.